AITA for getting a lawyer after my brother secretly rented my condo for $15,000? My name is Paige, I am 34 years old, and I live in Chicago, although I grew up in Madison, Wisconsin. I work as a marketing manager at a tech company, which is why I had to move to the city a couple of years ago. My life was pretty normal until a little over 6 months ago, when I received a call from my mom. "Paige, sweetheart, I need to ask you a huge favor," she said. Her voice was trembling as if she were about to cry. "What happened?" I asked. I felt my chest tighten. "Is it Caleb? Caleb says he lost his job and they are having a really hard time," she continued. "With the little boy and Jenna out of work right now, they need a place to stay for a while until they get settled." I let the air out through my nose. Slowly. Caleb had always been like this. Since we were kids, he had a special talent for taking the easy way out. He was 4 years younger than me, and yet he always ended up in new trouble. We were not that close, but he was my brother. "Mom, I don't live in Madison anymore. What do you want me to do? The condo you bought with your grandmother's inheritance is empty. It's just sitting there. They could stay there for just 6 months while Caleb finds a job." I rubbed my forehead with my fingers. That condo was not a whim. It was my safety net. I had furnished it beforehand precisely because my plan was to rent it out. When my grandmother passed away, her house was sold. We divided the money between Caleb and me. I used my share to buy that condo, thinking about renting it out so it would help me with the mortgage on my place in Chicago. As for Caleb, the truth is I never knew what he spent his share on. In a matter of months, he had nothing left. "Mom, I was going to rent it out. I already have a real estate agent looking for tenants. I need that rent to help me with my monthly payment here. Please, Paige." Her voice cracked. "Just 6 months. Caleb promised me. I swear they will behave. Think of Leo." I stayed quiet, imagining them. Caleb, Jenna, and their son Leo, who was 3 years old. Leo was not to blame for anything. Besides, Jenna had always seemed more grounded to me than Caleb. I thought with a bit of hope that at least she would take care of the place. "Let me think about it," I said. "They need to move next week, my love. They can't afford another month where they are." Of course it had to be urgent. With Caleb it was always like that, everything right down to the wire. That night I called Liam, my real estate agent. Liam was actually a friend of mine from college. We knew each other from before I had to speak like a responsible adult all the time. "Hey, I need to pause renting out the condo," I told him. "Family stuff? What do you mean pause?" he replied. "I already have 3 prospects ready to see it this weekend." "I know. I'm sorry. My brother needs to stay there. Supposedly for 6 months." There was a short silence, the kind that speaks louder than 1,000 words. "That's going to hit you hard," he finally blurted out. "Didn't you tell me you pay something like $3,500 a month for your mortgage in Chicago?" "Yes. And I was counting on a rent of $1,500 a month to keep from strangling myself." "Well, family is family," he said, but his doubt was obvious. He did not scold me. I just noticed how he resigned himself to it. The next day I called my mom again. "Fine, Caleb can stay 6 months, max. I'll mail them the keys today." "Thank you, my dear," she said, as if I had saved the world. "You are really getting us out of a jam. Caleb promised he will be the perfect tenant." I hung up feeling like I had been run over, and the worst part was that this feeling was not new. In my family, the emotional weight was almost always carried by me along with my mom. My dad was probably right next to her listening, letting her do all the hard work. A couple of months passed quickly. Between pending tasks, meetings, and presentations, I barely even thought about the condo until I had to go to Milwaukee for a work conference. It was not that far from Madison, close enough to make me want to drop by and see how everything was going. The night before traveling, I called Caleb. "Hey, I'm going to be in the area tomorrow. I was thinking of stopping by the condo to say hi and see how you guys are doing." There was a weird pause. Tomorrow isn't a good time," he said. "Leo has an activity at daycare and honestly, the condo is a disaster. It's better if we meet at our parents' house. We can drop by for dinner." Something in his voice sounded off to me. "Okay," I replied, although I was not thrilled about it. "See you there." I hung up with an uncomfortable feeling in my stomach. Why did he not want me to see my own condo? I tried to justify it. Maybe they were embarrassed, maybe it was messy. Maybe they were going through a tough time and did not want me to notice. That night at my parents' house, Caleb arrived with Jenna and Leo. Leo had grown. He was not a baby anymore, he was almost 4 years old. He was running around the living room laughing while the adults talked about the usual stuff. So how has the condo been working out for you? I asked, looking at Jenna, searching her face for any sign. It's perfect, Caleb said quickly. We really appreciate it so much. Yes, Paige, Jenna added. It has gotten us out of a big problem, and the area is great for Leo's daycare. Then Caleb cleared his throat, as if gathering courage. Paige, I hate to ask you this, but I found a great web development bootcamp. It guarantees me a job, but it costs $5,000. I felt my body go numb. 5,000, I repeated, unable to hide my shock. I'll pay you back in a couple of months as soon as I get hired, he insisted. It's an investment for us, for Leo. My parents exchanged a quick, quiet look. Right then I knew this was not a spur-of-the-moment idea. They had already planned it, they had already talked about it. Caleb, that is a lot of money. I know. And I wouldn't ask you if it weren't my chance to change everything, he said. For the first time he sounded almost convincing. I looked at Leo on the floor, entertained with the little toy car. I thought about my savings account. It was healthy, but it was not infinite. I also thought about my mom, how her eyes would fill with tears when things got tense. I thought about my stoic dad waiting for me to do the right thing, which was understood as giving in. All right, I finally said, as if the words were being ripped out of me. I'll transfer it to you tomorrow. You are the best sister. Caleb blurted out and hugged me tight, too tight, as if he wanted to seal the deal with his body. I did not go to the condo on that trip. A part of me thought it was better not to stir things up. I trusted that Jenna, at least, would keep the place in good condition. And if Caleb was really going to study and get a job, well, those months would pass quickly. The following months went by amid meetings, deadlines, and late-night emails. Chicago does not let you breathe. And I almost managed to forget about all of that. Almost. One day, just after finishing a presentation, my cell phone vibrated. It was Liam. Hey Paige, quick question, he said as soon as I answered. Did you decide to rent your condo on your own? I froze. What do you mean on my own? No, Caleb is still there. Then this is super weird, he replied. Because I just saw a listing online with the exact address. They are the same photos I took last year. I'll send you the link. Look at it and call me. The message arrived in seconds. I opened the link with trembling hands and felt the blood rush to my head. There was my condo, my furniture, my decor, all presented on a short-term rental site. It said it was ideal for couples who wanted privacy with a park view, and the contact was clear as day. Caleb with his phone number. I felt like I was going to be sick right there. I took screenshots of everything and called Liam back. Did you see it? He asked. I can't believe it, I said, my voice cracking. He's secretly renting my condo by the night. Liam exhaled loudly. That's awful. What are you going to do? I'm driving to Madison early tomorrow. I hung up, went straight to my boss and asked for 2 days off. That night I packed a bag. I barely slept. Every time I closed my eyes, I imagined strangers in my bed, touching my things, using my space as if it belonged to them. At dawn, I started the drive to Madison. At that hour the traffic had not built up yet. By the time I arrived, the shock had turned into something colder. Pure anger. I went straight to the building. I still had a key. I knocked first to check if anyone was there. No one answered. I waited a few seconds and knocked again. Nothing. Then I opened the door with my key. Upon opening it, I heard movement. A man came out in his boxers, visibly annoyed. Behind him, a woman in a robe peeked out. Can I help you? He asked with an irritated look on his face. Yes, I said, measuring every word. This condo is mine. They looked at each other nervously. We rented it for the day, he replied. A woman, Jenna, rented it to us. We paid and we have a confirmation. Can you show it to me? The man hesitated but took out his cell phone and showed me the receipt. There was Jenna's name and her digital signature at the bottom. Thank you, I said, swallowing my rage so I would not explode. I am very sorry, but you have been part of a scam. I am the owner. Jenna is my sister-in-law and she has no right to rent this property. The color drained from both of their faces. What do you mean we were scammed? She said. We paid $160. I truly am sorry, but I need you to get dressed and leave. I have to resolve this. They left quickly without making a scene. As they walked out, the building's security guard peeked over as if he was already used to seeing people come and go. When I closed the door, I stood in the middle of my living room. Everything looked different. The bedspread was a different, cheaper one. Decorations were missing. A couple of things I remembered clearly were no longer there. The place smelled of air freshener mixed with something foreign, like other people. I called Caleb immediately. What's up, sis? He answered calmly. I thought you were in Chicago. I'm in Madison, I said, forcing myself to sound calm. I need to pick up some important documents and a photo album I left in the condo. I'm going to head over later. Silence. Don't worry, he finally said. I'll look for them and bring them to you at my parents' house. How thoughtful of you, I replied with a sweetness that even I did not believe. Those documents in that album did not exist. I made them up to see what he would do. Perfect, I continued. Then, I'll see you at my parents' tonight. I hung up and stood still for a moment. If I knew anything about Caleb, it was that at that very moment he had to be panicking. He was going to rush over, clean, hide things, and cover up his business before I arrived. I went to my car and parked half a block away, from where I could see the building's entrance. I waited. Not even 15 minutes passed when his blue Honda arrived. He got out quickly and almost ran inside. I gave him an hour to move everything. When he came out, he was pale, making frantic phone calls. I got out of my car and walked toward him. Looking for something, Caleb? He jumped as if he had seen a ghost. Paige, what are you doing here? What a surprise. There are no documents, Caleb, I said. But I did find something interesting. Your business. His face instantly changed from surprise to pleading. Can I explain? Explain what? I snapped. How you turned my condo into a nightly rental for couples. With my bed, with my things. You don't understand, he said, immediately going into justification mode. We needed the money. You have it easy. Good job, no kids. You have no idea what it's like. Jenna was not working at the time. Supporting Leo is expensive. Daycare is super expensive. He kept tripping over his words. You lied to me. I cut him off. To me, to my parents, to everyone. Give me my keys. I actually can't right now, he said. That is when I realized how shameless he was. I have reservations for the next few days. There are people who have already paid. I laughed, but not because it was funny, out of pure disbelief. Do you think I care about your schedule? The keys. Now. Paige. No. The keys, or I'm going to file a police report, I said without raising my voice. He stepped back. Let me talk to the people who booked first, he begged. I'll bring them to you tonight at my parents' house. I'm not staying with them, I told him. Are you giving me the keys? Today at 8 at the lobby of the hotel where I'm staying. Ask for me at the front desk. If not, tomorrow morning I'm going to the police station. I turned around, my whole body shaking. I knew what was coming next. My parents were going to take his side as always. That is why I did not stay at their house. I needed a neutral space for the inevitable. Not even 20 minutes passed when my cell phone started vibrating nonstop. Calls from my mom, from my dad, and messages from Caleb. I took a deep breath and listened to my mom's first voicemail. Paige, it's me. What are you doing? Caleb called us crying. You are threatening your own brother with the police. Think about Leo. Have you really lost your mind? I deleted it. The second one was worse. Your father and I are very disappointed. You do not do something like this to family. Call us now. I tossed the phone onto the hotel bed and stared at the ceiling. This was exactly why I did not stay with them. It rang again. Caleb. This time I answered. You can't do this to me, he said as soon as he heard my voice. If you report me, you're going to ruin me. My job, my name. You should have thought of that before using my condo to rent it out secretly, I replied coldly. It was not like that, he insisted. It was just to make some extra money. With my property, I reminded him. Without my permission. I changed the sheets, he said, as if that fixed anything. I stopped him, feeling nauseous. Do not tell me that. I want my keys in the next 48 hours, I continued. And before you go running to my parents again, understand something. Whatever they say is not going to change my mind. I hung up and called David, my attorney in Chicago. I told him everything from the online listing to what I found when I opened the door. Paige, you have grounds to act, he told me. Improper use of property, possible fraud. There is also a tax issue. If he was receiving money without reporting it, and this escalates, the IRS could get involved. What do I do? Document everything. The screenshots are good evidence. If you can get the contact information of the couple that rented it, even better. We can also send a formal demand letter requiring that he cease his activities and pay for damages. If he doesn't respond, we can explore legal action. I already warned him. David stayed silent for a second. Sometimes the threat is enough, he said. But we have to back it up. I'll draft a demand letter and have it ready today. After hanging up, I ordered some food without having an appetite. I tried to calm down, but every time I closed my eyes I saw my bed with strangers, my living room with foreign hands, my things as if they belonged to just anyone. That night, at exactly 8 o'clock, Caleb arrived at the hotel lobby. He did not even look at me. He put the keys in my hand and turned to leave. Caleb, wait. He stopped but did not turn around. We have to talk about the damages, I said. What damages? He replied with a flat voice. Now he did look me in the eye. His gaze was hard. Things are missing. Things are damaged, and at the very least it needs a deep cleaning. Not my problem, he blurted. Of course it's your problem, I said. You took over my condo with lies and used it to make money. I can absolutely pursue this legally for damages. You already have your keys, he spat. What else do you want? Tomorrow a specialist is going to come to give me a written estimate, I told him. If you want to prevent this from moving forward, you are going to pay what's owed, and you are going to give me back the money for the boot camp. Caleb let out a bitter laugh. Wow, you really are cold, he said. Mom was right. I felt like I had been punched. I am the one who was deceived, I told him, my voice no longer shaking. I'm the one who provided the home, the keys, and the trust. And you come here and call me cold. You've always had everything easy, he complained. The perfect Paige with her perfect job, her perfect life. I built that by working, I replied. Not by taking advantage of my family. I'm tired. I don't want to talk anymore, I said. Tomorrow you'll get the email from my attorney. I walked away without looking back. The next morning I went to the condo. In the daylight it looked worse. Stains on the carpet, a crack in the bathroom cabinet. The couch that I had picked out so carefully had a tear that was not there before. The smell was a weird mix of perfume and cleaning products. That same day a specialist came and left me a written estimate. Around $11,000 to get it back to how it was between repairs, replacements, and professional cleaning. I scanned the document and sent it to David. That night, David sent a formal demand letter to Caleb. It required payment for the damages and the immediate cessation of any use of the property. It gave him a deadline to respond before we initiated legal action. It also mentioned that, if necessary, the income he obtained from those rentals would be investigated. I forwarded it to Caleb with a short message. This is not a threat, it's the next step. Not even 5 minutes passed before my mom called me. What is wrong with you? She yelled. An attorney? $11,000? Do you want to destroy your brother's life? Mom, I said without raising my voice. Do you know what he did? He told us he needed the money, she replied, as if that closed the case. I need money too, I answered. That's why I was planning on renting that condo out the right way, with a legal contract, not the way he did it. He is your brother, she insisted. And just because he's my brother, he did not have the right to lie to me, I said. Nor to bring people into my house, nor to use my things to make money. My mom lowered her tone just a bit. Paige, this is going to ruin him. You have a good job, you do not need this. How are we going to look as a family? This is not just about money, I replied. It's about respect, about consequences. It is about time Caleb stops doing whatever he wants while everyone covers for him. We raised you differently, she said, and her voice turned cold again. Your dad and I are very disappointed. And she hung up. I sat on the damaged couch and cried. It was the first time since this all started. Not out of guilt. I cried because it hurt that my own parents did not understand how invaded I felt, as if my space, my effort, and my peace of mind did not matter. I returned to Chicago, leaving the condo locked and empty. I hired a deep cleaning service for the following week. I threw myself into work as if it were a refuge. 6 days after sending the letter, I saw a transaction in my account. $11,000. It was Caleb's payment with no message. I did not know if it was out of fear, pressure from my parents, or both. 2 days later another transfer arrived. $5,000. It was the money for the famous boot camp. I should have felt satisfied, but what I felt was sadness, a heavy sadness, the kind that leaves you not wanting to do anything. At what point did we become so broken as a family? I did not speak to my parents for over a week. It was the longest silence we had ever had, and I did not even want to hear Caleb's name. With the condo still undergoing repairs, I took 2 weeks of unpaid leave and returned to Madison to oversee everything. I hired the people I needed to hire. I replaced what was damaged and had what could be repaired fixed. The deep cleaning took 3 full days. I was there watching them remove stains, take things apart, and slowly erase the trace of everything that had happened. Meanwhile, my parents still had not called me, and I was not reaching out to them either. It hurt, but it hurt more to think that they would call me overdramatic again. When it was finally ready, I called Liam. It's done, I told him. Now I do need real tenants. Stable people with jobs who will sign a long-term lease. I hear you, he replied. Actually, I have a couple in mind. They are both teachers. They've been married for 5 years, no kids, good background. They want something quiet. A week later, I signed a 2-year lease with Thomas and Elisa. They seemed calm and responsible, the kind of people who inspire trust from the moment they arrive, and do not give you excuses. I gave them my contact info and returned to Chicago feeling that at least one part of the disaster was coming to a close. Work consumed me the following month. I stayed late. I worked weekends, whatever it took to keep from thinking about my family, until one rainy Sunday the phone rang. It was my mom. I stared at the screen, letting it ring several times. Finally, I answered. Hello. Hello, Paige, she said, and her voice sounded tired. How are you? Good, lots of work. There was an awkward silence. Then she sighed. There is something you need to know. Caleb confessed to us last week that he and Jenna bought their own house around that time, when everything started with a mortgage. He never lost his job. I sat on the edge of the couch as if I had suddenly lost all my strength. What? He made it all up, she said, and her voice cracked. The part about them struggling, the part about needing your condo. It was to pay off their mortgage faster, and he was renting it out from the beginning, especially on weekends and some weekdays. I laughed, but it was a bitter laugh with no joy. What a surprise, I said. Honestly, we did not know, Paige, she insisted. He lied to us too. Your dad and I had a horrible fight with him. We sat him down and this time we did not defend him. We told him he had to give you back everything he made from those rentals, or we were not going to help him with anything ever again. I did not know what to say. A part of me felt something akin to vindication. My parents were finally seeing Caleb for who he really was. But another part of me felt even sadder because it would not have been necessary to get to this point if they had believed me from the start. I'm sorry, my mom said. We should have listened to you. Yes, I replied, not softening my tone. You should have. Are you going to come see us soon? She asked. Your dad misses you. Maybe, I said. I need time. I hung up and sat there staring at my living room in Chicago, feeling like it was still hard to believe it all. 3 months passed. I started talking to my parents again, although carefully. Short conversations, light topics, no mention of Caleb. When I visited them, I made sure he was not there. One day I checked my account and saw several deposits that together totaled approximately $15,000. They were transfers from Caleb with no explanation. I stared at the screen. I knew immediately what it was. The rental money earned through lies. I was not going to feel at peace if I kept it. I thought about it for a few days and then transferred all of it to a foundation that supports children undergoing medical treatment. I did not want that money to stay with me as if it were a prize. If there was a way to give it a different meaning, that was it. I sent a message to my parents to let them know. That night my dad called me. "You did the right thing," he said in a serious voice but softer than usual. "Your mom and I are proud of you." "Thanks, Dad." He cleared his throat. "Caleb asks about you sometimes," he added. "He wants to know how you are." "I'm not ready to talk to him." "I understand," he said. "He knows he messed up really badly. He does not even come over anymore when he knows you're going to be here. He's ashamed." "Good," I replied. I did not say it with pleasure. I said it out of sheer exhaustion. A month later I went back to Madison for my parents' anniversary. It was just the three of us for dinner. It was quiet, almost normal. Afterward, while helping my mom clear the plates, she said casually, "Your brother and Jenna are expecting another baby." "That's nice," I replied, focusing on drying a plate. "He has changed, Paige," my mom insisted, as if trying to convince me. All of this made him mature. I just nodded. "Do you think you will forgive him someday?" she asked. I left the towel on the counter and looked at her. "Maybe someday," I said. "But not right now." Because that was the truth. The condo was finally fine. Thomas and Elisa paid their rent on time. Liam let me know from time to time that everything was still in order. My mortgage in Chicago stopped being a constant nightmare. My life was finding a new normal. I talked to my parents every week, and for the first time they stopped pressuring me to make up with Caleb. Maybe they understood. Or at least they were trying. Sometimes I wonder what I would do if I saw him face to face. If I would yell at him, if I would cry, or if I would let him speak. I do not know. What I do know is that when trust is broken, it is not put back together with a quick apology or with money deposited without a word. Maybe with time all of it will stop hurting so much. Maybe someday we can go back to being the kind of siblings who truly take care of each other. For now, I am focused on my life, my work, my friends, and the family relationships that can still be saved. And if this whole experience left me with anything, it is a lesson that hurts to say out loud. Sometimes the hardest boundaries are the ones you set with the people you love the most, but they are also the ones that are needed the most. Comment. I know that story brings up a lot of emotions, and it truly highlights the importance of setting boundaries with the people we love. Doing so is never an act of selfishness, but rather one of profound self-respect. It often requires having conversations that feel uncomfortable or difficult in the moment. However, choosing to protect your peace is always a valid and necessary decision. True kindness must also extend to yourself, even if it means temporarily disappointing someone else. Healing from broken trust is a long journey, and you have the right to take all the time you need. We are not responsible for the actions of others, but we are responsible for honoring our own well-being. I believe that turning a painful experience into a positive force for good is one of the most powerful ways to heal. I hope you all remember that your feelings are valid and you absolutely deserve respect. Take good care of yourselves. If you liked it, don't forget to leave a comment and support the channel by subscribing. See you in the upcoming stories.